Okay, welcome to LinkedIn Basics for Executives. This segment is going to focus on the basics of the profile page, a couple things in particular. I'm going to start with the photo because it's one of the most overlooked aspects of the profile page and at the same time one of the most important. Heat map studies have shown that people spend by far, on average, the most time looking at the picture. Why? Well, one important reason why is because they're trying to figure out whether the person they met at the party or at the meeting is the same person. You may underestimate, with a number of exceptions, you may underestimate how many Kevin Bryants, for example, there are in the UK or in London proper. So obviously if there's no picture, I won't be able to figure out whether that's the right one. And of course, if the picture is not a good one, not a good reflection of what that person looks like, the same problem. Secondly, as far as the photo goes, make sure that it's not just, of course, professional, given that this is a platform for professionals by and large, but also make sure that the picture is somewhat engaging, right? So a little smile is good, maybe not too much, but enough that communicates that this is a person who is open and happy to communicate and connect with people. Can't overstate how important that picture is. Doesn't have to be a professional picture, however. It's nice if you want to spend some money on it and get it done professionally, but it doesn't have to be a professionally done photo. Okay, now here's one small thing but useful item that most people don't think about. I'm going to go into the version which allows me to edit the page. Now just down here is your public URL. Okay, so for your public profile, when someone searches your name, if you have a LinkedIn profile, 9 times out of 10 that's going to come up under your name. You have an opportunity to customize that URL to reflect both your company, brand, and your name, and one that's just much more user-friendly and one that will actually also help you increase your brand from a Google search perspective. So let me just click on Edit to show you what I'm talking about. And then you go down here to the right, your public profile URL. So to customize, here is where I added both my name and my company's name, Educated Change. Now, further down, I'm going to stay on this page the same items are here, obviously, that's on the public profile. The main comment in terms of filling in the rest of your LinkedIn profile is you want to add as much detail as you possibly can in the sort of resume portion. Okay? So I'm not talking about the summary piece, I'm talking about the detail. Actually, I'll come out of that and go back to the public profile. So you've got the background, the summary section, which I'll talk about, come back to in a second. But then below that are these, the details of your professional history and educational history. By adding as much detail as possible, including your interests, your skill set, and anything else, languages, certifications, you're adding more and more searchable terms that may be relevant for someone who you might want to connect with at some point. So someone may come into LinkedIn, they may want to search, I want to search somebody who is at Brunel University, who's interested in Tai Chi, for example, and someone who is focused on change management. So by searching these keywords, there's a relatively good chance that my name's going to come up in the search results. So this is the most difficult part because obviously it takes time, but it's time very well spent. So highly recommend, emphasize that you do that. The last item I'm going to talk about in this segment is the summary portion. There's no completely right or wrong answer to how to write the summary, but there are a couple of ideas which seem to work in most instances. First of all, you want to keep it relatively short. Shorter the better. So depending on the screen format and depending on what else is above it, you're more likely to see at least a portion of it. So that first paragraph is the most important paragraph. Okay, so that first paragraph needs to kind of tell a story. It's best told as sort of a narrative, because people love stories. It's going to draw them in to get interested in you and potentially to get them to look further down the page and hopefully, obviously, to connect with you if somebody you want to connect with. First person or third person, in general, social media so-called experts would suggest that you do it in first person because that would suggest it's just more sort of open, more engaging style of writing. But there are many instances when a third person voice is useful, depending on the audience, depending on the kinds of people who you are trying to connect with. In our case, I've chosen a third person style, and that reflects the fact that we are dealing with large corporate customers, although we're not a big company. And most large corporates, especially senior executives, tend to follow more of this approach. So we want to be sort of consistent with that. Again, it's all about the audience. It's not about what you prefer or like. It's about understanding your audience and putting the best foot forward in that regard. And that's it for this segment on LinkedIn Basics. I will return with a bit more on basic settings. Hope you found this helpful.